Hey, y'all.
Hello.
How's it going? Good morning. Good afternoon. Great to see all your faces. I am so grateful, Bert, for getting us started. Thank you. That was such high energy.
That was amazing.
Was so great. Life is good, and there's so much to be grateful for. I'm so grateful that each and every one of you have decided to come out. I mean, we've all got so much going on in our lives, in our businesses, and yet you showed up. You showed up this week to learn and to share and to help build this community. I think what really unites us in this community is this belief that business can and must be a force for good. And we are making it so. And what a great role model Libby Wadle is in using business as a force for good. Libby is one of my heroes.
Oh.
And so it's such an honor to be here on stage with you today. Libby and I, as a little bit of context, Libby and I have worked together for the last 5 years, roughly. Yeah. When she was CEO of Madewell, we were invited in to certify their blue jeans, very first fair trade blue jeans in the world. And actually, for those of you who don't know, fair trade's role in the conscious capitalism movement is really around sustainable supply chains and ethical sourcing. So we develop standards, very high, rigorous standards for labor, social, and environmental practices. And farms and factories all over the world sign up to adhere to those standards, and then they open their shops to our audits. We have auditors that go in and verify and then certify those farms and factories. And then we help matchmake them with great brands like J.Crew and retailers like Whole Foods. And we help them educate consumers. Because at the end of the day, as Bert said, consumers are voting with their dollars. And they have such an important role to play in rewarding all the good work that businesses are doing. So through our fair trade partnership, I've had a front row seat on this amazing leader, and I'm just so excited to be in conversation with you today.
Thanks, Paul.
So let's hear a little bit about your journey. Libby, share a little bit about your unique career journey from English major at Boston College to CEO of the J.Crew Group.
Oh, it was very quick. No, I mean, listen, I think English major at Boston College has very little to do with my journey. I think maybe scooping ice cream at Haagen-Dazs at 14 and then working at the mall and my first job probably had much more to do with my journey. I've always worked in retail. I love it. I've pretty much been in this business, well, I mean, I think they said 25-ish years, maybe a little bit more now if you count my years working at the mall. But yes, I really sort of, the journey has been exciting in that I get to do what I love every day, and I've continued to get to do what I love even in really troubling times, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a bankruptcy, you know, the things that you have to lead through. I at least get to enjoy and love what I do. And so ever since I had that first job at the mall, I worked through college, always had a job, and worked in retail. And I interviewed when I graduated. I interviewed for a job at a department store, and I didn't get the job. He asked me what my SAT scores were in the interview, and I had already graduated from college, by the way. So I sort of knew then that it maybe wasn't a good match, and I actually lied about what they were because they weren't that good, and I didn't get the job, and they're out of business now. So, but I on a whim. Moved to California and worked at a store because that's what I knew how to do, and I met the right person and sort of started my career out there at a little company called The Gap way back when it was very different but still big, and then I landed at J.Crew Group about 15 or so years ago and have just had a lot of really exciting, great experiences. But I would say the past 5 years or so have been probably the most dimensional of my career and the most rewarding from like beyond I just get to do what I love, which is, be in the business I love, which is fashion and clothing and retail. And it's just become, I'd say, so much more rewarding. As we've sort of embarked on this journey of purpose, which frankly we weren't really about. And I had the great opportunity to go off and build this brand, Madewell, which had already been in business for a bit, but we were trying to find our way, and we were able to be, a small business within a bigger business, or owned by J.Crew, and we just sat in a circle, the leadership team, and the small group of people we had, and we decided to sort of build a sort of much more different kind of business in terms of building things around our values, listening to our customers. And we actually started with a program because we were denim-based, and we started with a program called Blue Jeans Go Green, which was about really the beginnings of circularity. You can bring your old jeans, it doesn't matter what jeans, by the way, you can still do this, bring your old jeans in, and we take them and we partner with Cotton Inc. and we recycle them to become housing insulation, and we use them in builds for programs like Habitat for Humanity and things like that. So so that was really the start. You get $20 off your next pair of jeans when you bring. And so that was the very beginning of circularity way back when. And then, honestly, my introduction to you was really at the beginning of, I'd say, the new dimension of finding purpose for us. And it made a lot of sense because at the time I was running Madewell, and we were really about building community into our brand. When we open a store in a new market, we bring local creatives and artists into our store and give them a platform to sell. And so we always really wanted to engage the community, but we never, frankly, as retailers, don't really engage the community of people who make our product. And it was really a blind spot, I think. And so this has really just opened up a whole new world. So
I want to come to fair trade in just a second, but before that, you talk about purpose, and everyone here is thinking about how to drive purpose into their businesses and how to overcome what I would describe as the trade-off mentality that I think the business community has had in the past, where sustainability and responsibility and purpose on the one hand, and profitability and financial success on the other, feel like they were at odds with each other, feel like there was a trade-off. And so I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on how you see purpose and sustainability really driving the success of the firm, how you've been able to make the business case for purpose.
I mean, I think we all have North Star businesses or people we look at, and probably we do. And I'd say a brand that we love is Patagonia, and it's very clear they're a brand who just does the right thing, and they do the right thing, and their business is flourishing, and it really has flourished, so they're a great model. We always sort of refer, it's actually how we got connected with you, I think. But I've been lucky in that I don't think I've had to, it hasn't really been a give and take. I think, I don't think it just happened, but as we've moved towards purpose, our business has just gotten better and healthier, and we have really great retention. People love being a part of it. Very similar to what Bert said. I mean, we have people who just are really rewarded by the contribution that we make, that they can make in the business.
What about on the consumer side?
We hear from them all the time. We have this, we have both in J.Crew and Madewell, what we call like group chats, where we talk to, 4,000, 5,000 volunteers who sign up to give us feedback, and we can ask them lots of different questions, and we hear resoundingly positive feedback about what we're doing. I mean, people know fair trade now for sure, and they associate it with our jeans. It's really become an important part for Madewell, which is very exciting.
Your jeans meaning your DNA or your blue jeans?
No, our jeans, like our denim.
Okay, so tell us what you're doing in fair trade and how has it impacted your business?
Sure. So, like you said, Madewell. So Madewell, for those of you who don't know Madewell, Madewell's the smaller but fast-growing brand, part of J.Crew Group, and the business is really founded in denim. We're mostly women's, although we did start a menswear brand, and it's rapidly growing. And we have incredible jeans, really premium jeans at a non-premium price, so all around $100. And we decided really to commit with fair trade. We committed to getting 95% of our denim basically fair trade certified by 2025. So actually we're very excited because we're celebrating. We're already halfway there.
Can we just celebrate that for a second?
Yeah, that's incredible. And denim's at least a third of our business. It's our fastest growing business. We make a lot of units. And so what you may know about fair trade is really the workers benefit as part of the fair trade factory from the premiums that they get from what we buy basically from these factories. And so on top of their wages, they get these fair trade premiums. And so as our business flourishes and grows, as more people and apparel makers join the movement, their livelihood just gets better. Mm-hmm. And so we're doing that at Madewell, and we actually have more factories outside of denim that are fair trade certified, but we're really laser focused on hitting that 95%. And then on the J.Crew side, we're really famous for cashmere at J.Crew. We have great cashmere, and we're famous for chinos, which was not good, to Bert's point, during the pandemic, as no one was wearing or buying pants. But they're coming back. Actually, a lot of the guys are buying chinos
pants
now.
Are coming back.
They're ready. Yeah, they're wearing pants again. And so we really focused on those categories to focus on certifying and getting those factories to be fair trade. Because again, they're just big parts of our business, and we'll have the biggest impact there. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So. You mentioned the fair trade premium that you all and other companies that come into fair trade certification are paying back to their workers. And I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about where that money is going in your factories and the impact in the lives of workers that you all are observing.
Yeah, so, and if I get it wrong, you probably might know better, but so one of our first fair trade certified factory is a factory called Cytex in Vietnam. And it's an incredible factory. It's one of the cleanest, most sustainable factories there is. They say, I haven't done this, but they say you can drink the water that comes through the denim process from this factory, which I don't know if I would do. But,
I don't know if I would do it either, but they say
you
it's
probably
that
would
clean.
do it, maybe, but they do say it. But it's an incredible factory with an incredible management team, but also an incredible team of workers there. And as I said, the premiums, what's unique about these premiums is the management doesn't decide how to spend the premiums. So basically, they have a committee that is pulled together from the worker population, and they're voted or appointed by their peers, and they determine how to spend the premiums. And it's really based on what they need. So it could be this is where you can help, but it could be healthcare or transportation, bicycles to get to the factory, it could be childcare, those kinds of things. But during the pandemic, and it's still going on, obviously, especially in Vietnam, where it's really, really hard hit. The Workers' Fund chose to invest in healthcare, increased healthcare and support for the population of Cytex. So that's been incredibly rewarding to know that they have that extra. So I would say that is the most recent great example that really has, I think, touched us a lot.
It's so powerful when you think about it, beyond what government can do, beyond what well-intentioned nonprofits can do, the power of business to help uplift workers and improve lives is so much more scalable and sustainable. And the business case, because I'm always looking to make the business case for that factory owner is that through this fair trade transaction, not only are they strengthening their commercial relationship with you, but they're improving the health of their workers, which means retention is higher and productivity is higher. And so there's a value proposition and a win scenario for the business owner as well. It's not just about lifting workers out of poverty or improving their lives, but it's about creating a win-win scenario where everyone thrives. Actually, I visited that factory a couple of years ago, 2019, I guess, and we sat with the workers and talked about the program and talked about some of the changes. And they had already put in place health insurance, some level of health insurance for their families. And this gentleman spoke to us in such humble, grateful terms about how, as a result of this expanded health insurance that the Fair Trade Premium was helping to pay for, his wife was able to get a checkup for the first time in several years, and was able to find out that she had early stage cancer. And because of that checkup, she got timely treatment and she was healthy. And he said, J.Crew, Fair Trade, you have literally saved my wife's life. And we were all in tears at this story, and it just made us realize that, you know, as consumers, we truly can vote for a better world with our purchases. And that, you know, just by choosing one brand's blue jeans over another, we can actually provide timely health care and life-saving health care to families that wouldn't otherwise get it. So that leads me to ask, how are you engaging the consumer with this fair trade story and with your broader sustainability story so that she can reward your great efforts and vote with her dollars?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's, I think, a journey for us. We're not, I think it's actually been really nice sort of building the message as the whole sustainability and purpose journey is a journey. It's not like you can unveil everything you've done and check the box, and we've really brought her along for that. And so when we launched our denim program, for instance, in Madewell, we introduced it to her, and I think it was sort of new, because I don't know about you, but I knew about fair trade from like coffee and chocolate. I didn't really affiliate it with clothing. Maybe a little bit in performance or outdoor, like with Patagonia, that kind of thing. But so it was really exciting to be able to introduce it that way. And we've just been telling the story. I mean, we told the whole story. We took we took our customer on a visit virtually to the Cytex factory, actually. We featured some of the worker population, and after much debate with your team, we put labels on our clothes. So now it's just not debate. We didn't want it, but we wanted to get the aesthetic right. And so now it's just sort of very much a part of our messaging all the time, and we don't have to lead with it. It's really it's an important part of like the quality, I think, of our product. We've really built it into the quality and the value proposition of why you would shop and buy a pair of Madewell jeans or a J.Crew cashmere sweater.
Well, and consumers are so interested in authenticity right now, and have such a great bullshit detector for brands that are talking the talk but not necessarily walking the talk. So I think your example of actually certifying your factories and getting the products going and really creating some momentum and some credibility around the program before talking about it in a big way, I think was really smart, and speaks to all of us who are working on things, and I think rightfully thinking about how to communicate it, but maybe needing to dial in those programs and get some lessons and make the mistakes and iron those mistakes out before we then really elevate. So I know you're doing so much more than fair trade. What are you excited about in terms of sustainability at the J.Crew Group? What else are you working on?
There's a lot we're excited about. I mean, we have, so I got this job about a year ago, so I'm sort of new to the J.Crew job, although the J.Crew brand I've been with for a long time, and it's exciting to take the idea of leading with purpose and values and expanding that to a bigger group of people, and the team at J.Crew, they're just thrilled to be a part of it. And there's so much going on in our what we call raw materials space. So the fabrics that we're using, trying to get into as many sort of recycled fabrics as you can, while you still get great quality and that kind of thing. So our whole raw materials effort is pretty robust across the entire company. And then anything from what kind of how we should have water at the office when we're back in the office, water bottles, to our lights that we're using, to our packaging and how much plastic we use in our supply chain. All of that is on the table. And as I said, it's a journey. We have a very small but necessary and mighty CSR team. It's a team of 3. We're not a tiny company, but it's thanks to them, but also the fact that the whole community, they sort of really believe in what we're doing. And so we get ideas all the time. So whether it's from the field organization, our stores, whether it's from our customers or our associates, so we get ideas all the time. What I'm most excited about is we just launched our first ever circular store, a partnership with maybe some of, so it's actually not a circular store. It's it's really an effort to continue, the life of clothes, because clothes are, I think the number one filler of landfills. It's horrible. Sort of people throw out their clothes, and when you try to donate, no one wants the clothes. It's hard to find a place to clean out your closet. So there is a company called, there's many now, as you probably know, resale company. A great one is called ThreadUp. And we've partnered with them in many different ways. Most recently, we launched Madewell Forever, which is our resale site for Madewell, where you can get resold Madewell jeans for under $50. But we just opened our first IRL in real life store in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So it's a circular store. So it's basically a thrifting experience. And so it's a little pop-up, and we did it in partnership with ThreadUp. So that's been very, very exciting.
So cool.
Yeah.
So it's all used clothing.
It's all used clothing. It's all used Madewell. We get the inventory from ThreadUp.
And what's the price point?
Oh, it's so if you buy a sweater, it's $20, a t-shirt, it's $10. I mean, it's very simple pricing. It's not complex, and it's been bananas.
So more expensive than Goodwill.
Than what?
Than Goodwill.
Yeah, more expensive, but much better merchandised.
Of course.
Yeah,
That's
it's curated.
Awesome. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's in Williamsburg,
It's
New York?
in Williamsburg,
okay,
Brooklyn,
cool. Well, that's exciting, and you hear a lot about circularity and recycle and reuse. But if that catches on, what happens to new sales?
Well, I mean, just like fair trade, I mean, I think the louder you are, the more people you get to join, right? And I think it's just about, I'm not honestly that worried about the cannibalization. Every people at the board, board asked me that. What about cannibalization? Right. I think that it's a necessary thing to be doing. Yeah. We have to figure out how to continue the cycle. And honestly, we're not that big. There's way more customers to be had. There's way more people who can't afford $100 jeans, right? And so this could be a great opportunity from that perspective. But honestly, we didn't think that much about it. We didn't do a focus group or anything like that. We were just doing it and seeing how it goes. And it's been good so far, but it's been a week. But it's not been that long. But so far it's good. And listen, it's upstairs from a full price store.
Okay, cool.
We'll know soon enough. But
I'm excited to see
I'm an optimist because the resale business is not going anywhere.
So you are in a room full of people who are curious and creative and courageous in their exploration of conscious capitalism and business with purpose and sustainability. What are your words of advice for them?
Well, I would say sort of what I just said is I would meet as many people as possible who are doing things that you think are really unique, whether they are in your space or not. And what I think is the most amazing thing about the sustainability movement, the purpose movement, which for me and probably many of you who have been in competitive businesses, sometimes a public company, people don't share anything. And it's incredibly frustrating. But the best part about this business is that, or being part of a purpose-driven community, is people share stories, tell you how to do things. People have been incredibly transparent and open, and they also might make jeans, and they also might make T-shirts. And I think these days I'm encountering so many more leaders who just get that with purpose-driven initiatives, it's just about doing the right thing. And so, for instance, when we did, we were the first denim maker to do fair trade, but there were some big companies behind us waiting at the door to do it. Yeah. And they took our lead because it's easier to do it once a factory is certified. So then they can go in and start making fair trade jeans as well. And guess what? They do more business than we do. Their units are even bigger. And I think that's just, for me, has, in the past 5 years, it's just so much more easygoing and transparent and less proprietary, which is super refreshing, I think.
I really love your generosity of spirit.
Oh, thanks.
And I know you have a vision of transforming not just your business and the lives of the people in your supply chain, but really creating a ripple effect in the industry. So I really appreciate your words, and I'm sure everyone here has had opportunities to collaborate and to create ripples and to share lessons. And I'm just curious, did Target or any of the others that came along with Fair Trade Blue Jeans, did they call you up and say, how did you do it?
Well, Target didn't call me, no. But I have friends in the business, right, who work at some of these other companies, and for sure, absolutely. And I call people. I mean, I'm not afraid to reach out and ask, well, how did you do that?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think in a gathering like this, where we come from different industries, different spaces, collaboration is perhaps easier. So embrace the opportunity. The next couple of days are going to be a lot of fun to share lessons and insights with each other. But I'm really intrigued about that within an industry and among erstwhile competitors. Yeah. How do you also build space for dialogue and sharing lessons, and in a pre-competitive way around kind of the key issues of sustainability and purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I find somehow, we live in, our business has been very disrupted by pure play e-commerce players out there. But the beauty of that disruption is that there's a lot more people sort of learning and asking questions. And that population, while they may be disrupting those of us who run these legacy businesses, if you're open, there's a lot of dialogue that's happening. And they're doing pretty cool things on a smaller scale that if you can activate on a bigger scale, it's pretty exciting.
So I know you have 2 adorable kids.
Thank you. I think
and, I'm really curious. Are you optimistic? Are you hopeful for their future? What makes you hopeful these days?
I'm hopeful. I mean, they keep me optimistic and hopeful for sure. It helps. I'll share with you a story about my 12-year-old who's turning 13, going on 35 daughter, Sylvie, as I was leaving. And, we all haven't been traveling. And they're like, where are you going? You're leaving, you're traveling. And she's, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to Texas. And she said, oh, are you going to help with those abortion laws, Mommy? So, I think political views aside or whatever, I think, yeah, I'm optimistic because they're listening and we're having conversations that are more meaningful. And the fact that I'm not just selling clothes and making jeans, and I can talk about my trip to Vietnam and the people that I met and the lives that were maybe touching is exciting, and they're soaking it in. So I'm super optimistic.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. My kids give me so much optimism as well because they are so hip to companies that are doing the right thing, and they're more selective, I think, than we were at that age. And so lots to be hopeful for. Thank you, Libby, so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.